Here we are in the fishing cockpit of the 73 Uniflite Salty Dog. I've decided to go ahead and continue removing the plywood from underneath the gunnels. I have 35 holes on each gunnel that needs to be repaired, and I didn't want to try and attempt a repair with wet plywood underneath. So I thought I'd show you a few of the tools that I used to remove it. The first tool that I used is my multi-tool, and I use my multi-tool with a wood bit on it. This is actually a scraping bit that I made, and what I did was I cut all along the edge of the fiberglass that they had underneath the plywood, and removed it. And then I took my multi-tool and scored the plywood in a few places, and then I took my air chisel and with a flat bit, it's got a little bit of a fork in it, but I took that and I used that, and that basically breaks it loose. And then I use a pry bar, a hammer, and a wood chisel, and then I'm able to kind of break it out and get rid of it. I still have to sand up underneath that gunnel, but I've got the majority of the wood out, and you can see by looking at this fiberglass how many holes they had in it, and it had seen a lot of moisture. So getting rid of this is going to definitely be a great upgrade to this boat. I've got the port side all ready to go, and the starboard side is ready. I just need to sand both sides, and I'm going to remove that piece of plywood in that corner, the piece of plywood in the center, and then another piece over here, and I'm going to use 1/2 inch thermalite board, which I'll show you what that looks like. Here's a 1/2 inch thermalite. If you look closely, it's got a layer of fiberglass on the inside and outside, and then it's got continuous strand glass going through it. And I bought this thermalite board from a company down in Portland, Oregon. But this is incredibly strong. It's strong and stiff as a board. I mean, that's no pun intended. But it's amazing stuff. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the thermalite, wedge it, put some high strength putty. I'll put floor jacks along the bottom here, and I'll jack up to apply pressure to hold it in place while the high strength putty sets up. Before I do that, though, I'm going to sand the underside. I'm also going to put a couple layers of glass underneath, chopped strand mat and 1708. And then when I put the thermalite board in, then I will put another layer of chopped strand mat and another, at least one layer of 1708. I'm going to get rid of these holes that they used for tie-offs. There was a cleat underneath the deck there, and I'm getting rid of that. So I thought I'd show you that. I'm getting ready to work on the pilot house because I'm at a point where I need to get the plug ready so that I can build my mold, and it's pretty much ready to go. I've got a little bit of shaping to do. I put on some more body filler along the edges where I'm going to glass down to the boat. But I wanted to get this fishing cockpit to the point where I can get my Thermalite board and start putting the Thermalite in and start building this this cockpit. So that's where we're at. But I thought I'd show you a few of the tools I used. It came out pretty quick. Once I cut the glass, that took about an hour and a half. And once I cut the glass, then I went ahead and used my my other tools there to go ahead and chisel this plywood out. Most of the plywood was still fairly solid, but there was some moisture in it. So getting that out of there is going to be an upgrade. Plus I had to fill all the holes on each side. There's 60 some holes I need to fill. So I wanted to start with a clean slate, and I don't like plywood in boats. They don't use plywood much anymore. They're using mostly composites like Thermalite or Coosa board. Some of the honeycomb they're using, but I wanted a solid core material underneath the gunnels for added strength for downrigger mounts and for cleats. So that's kind of what my thought was, but I'll show you it when I get it finished. Have a great day.